For reporters to do what they did at that debate between Kamala Harris and Trump, it was the worst performance by journalists I've ever seen in a presidential debate. The worst performance. Speaking of outrageous, did you watch the debate? I watched it. Here were some of my tweets on it initially as it was running. Let's run some of those tweets out. David Muir is out of control, the ABC News activist. He was. No one can doubt that. That was widely quoted. Let's go to the next one. What ABC News did tonight was unethical and corrupt. That is for sure. Shameful. What's next? ABC News moderators are engaged in election interference. That's true too. And that's the next question. What were they doing with ABC News? It looked like it was rigged. And so people are going to want to know what communications there were. Donna Brazil, who is a Harris campaign aide, I don't know if she's an official part of the campaign, but she works at ABC. You know, she had leaked previously material about a debate questions to the Clinton campaign, as I recall, when she was over at CNN. So it's certainly fair to ask those questions. In terms of the content and what happened at the debate itself, here were my initial thoughts that I put out on social media.
Boy, this video shows how I felt watching the debate with the missus last night. I thought Trump did a good job considering it was 3-on-1. The ABC News moderators were partisan hacks. It was terrible interference by them. So I think Trump will benefit from being subject to more abuse by Democrat media. On top of that, Kamala Harris, I think, just talked too much. I thought Trump won in the end.
So I'd like to know what you thought. Share your thoughts below. And I do think it was a major corruption issue. I participated in the primary debates. As you may recall, one of the primary debates, I asked questions of the Republican candidates. And as you might imagine, I got my own views as to who should be a candidate for president or who should be president. But as president of Judicial Watch, I don't speak on it. And certainly, when I was in the position of having to ask questions in a primary, why would I abuse that opportunity there as a kind of an avatar for the public to play games, to do these fake fact checks, to do these attacks, and for reporters to do what they did at that debate between Kamala Harris and Trump? It was the worst performance by journalists I've ever seen in a presidential debate. The worst performance I've ever seen by moderators. They were partisan. They were intervening in the debate, arguing with the candidate, President Trump. And many have pointed out they weren't similarly targeting Kamala Harris with questions. And as I noted in my initial comments, I thought Trump did okay. I think Kamala didn't do awful either. But because it was so rigged, that's the news. So the irony is when you corrupt a process like that, the beneficiary doesn't necessarily get the full benefit, right? And so I do think that it will, kind of just generally be a wash. But I thought Trump made some points, and I want to raise them not because of the politics of them, but because the points I think are substantial in terms of the corruption issues that I think the American people need to know about, irrespective of his candidacy. So let's run those two issues that he talked about.
Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election.
Yeah, and now he was on target on the issues he raised there. And as I noted earlier, Garland confirmed Trump's complaints by coming out with a speech attacking him for criticizing him and suggesting he be jailed over it, just confirming his points. And we've told you about the fake documents case that is largely dead because the Jack Smith appointment was ruled unconstitutional by Judge Cannon in the case in which Smith was pursuing down in Florida. Joe Biden literally did the same thing, and they didn't prosecute him. Not because he has presidential immunity, it's because he has dementia. And how is he still president? Again, open question. I wish that had been asked at the debate. You know, another big issue, and what really is troublesome, are the fake fact checks they got into with late-term abortion and babies born after surviving an abortion and what to do with them. But in many states, they don't have protection. Our friends, I noted at Family Research Council, put out the following information I want to share with you. In the United States, there are at least 277 known cases of infants born alive following an abortion, and the actual number is likely much higher. Currently, there's no federal reporting requirement for cases of infants surviving abortion. Only 8 states require it. Federal law states that all infants who are born alive following an abortion are full persons under law. However, federal law does not currently ensure that these infants are given proper medical care. The Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act would require the same life-saving medical care be given to abortion survivors as any other infant born at the same gestational age. And of course, in Tim Walz's Minnesota, they weakened the law that protected babies born alive after abortion. And of course, the late-term abortion thing is something the left, Kamala Harris is never going to acknowledge the reality of late-term abortion. I mean, the left wants abortion. When they say they want Roe to be reimposed, what they're saying is they want abortion through the entire 9 months of pregnancy to be legal. And they say, well, you need a doctor to do. Well, having a doctor requirement is no impediment to getting an abortion, because doctors will kill babies up till the moment of birth. There are doctors who will do it. And what is the standard? If it impairs the health of the mother, which a doctor can interpret in a broad way. So there's no impediment. And to admit that any baby, especially one with a heartbeat or one that is viable in a late stage of the pregnancy, can be killed through abortion or should be protected from being killed through abortion, the left can't tolerate that because it blows up their whole abortion narrative that these unborn human beings don't deserve the protections and the extensions of the right to life given to every other person. So in many ways, it was a ridiculous debate in the sense that it was ruined by the intervention of the left-wing activists over at ABC News. But, unfortunately, because they were so obsessed with the left-wing approach, some key questions weren't asked. And I don't know if there's going to be a second debate. I would be happy, and Judicial Watch would be happy, to help moderate a debate between Trump and Vice President Harris. And I've got some questions, and I put them out there earlier, and these are questions I want answered, debate or no debate. Let's go to the tape. Well, we're coming up on the big debate between former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. Well, on behalf of Judicial Watch, I have more than a few questions for both candidates. Vice President Harris, just how did you become the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party? Does it concern you that the primary votes of about 15 million American voters were effectively erased? Have you discussed with any government officials invoking the 25th Amendment to remove President Biden because of his obvious dementia? President Trump, do you commit to deporting all illegal aliens from America? What steps will you take to ensure that Biden and other deep state officials who abuse their powers to try to rig the election and jail you and other Americans are held fully accountable under law? Is the FBI salvageable? Will you commit to full transparency on all government corruption and abuse that have plagued D.C. for so many years? Of course, I have many other questions. What questions do you have, America? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.